I remember the first time I saw the house. It stood proudly at the corner of Oak Ridge Lane, with ivy creeping up its brick walls like nature was trying to claim it. There was something majestic and oddly inviting about it. Maybe it was the wide porch, or the way the sun hit the windows at just the right angle. All I knew was I had to have it. For years, I'd dreamed of owning my own place. My name on the deed, my future carved in stone. After growing up in a cramped apartment and bouncing from rental to rental during college and early career struggles, this house felt like a symbol, a fresh start, freedom. I'm Eva, by the way. 32 years old, marketing executive, fiercely independent at least. I used to be. That was before I met Ryan. Ryan was charming, no doubt. The kind of man who walked into a room and made everyone lean in. We met at a networking event 3 years ago. I was there reluctantly, trying to avoid the wine-stained teeth of desperate entrepreneurs. He stood beside the cheese tray, casually making fun of the networking sharks, who smelled blood in the room. We laughed. We clicked. It felt like fate. 2 years later, we were married in a quiet ceremony at a vineyard. I wore a white dress with lace sleeves. He looked dashing in navy. Everything seemed perfect. The house came a year into our marriage. I'd been saving for it long before Ryan entered the picture. My promotion finally tipped the scale in my favor. I toured it alone, ran the numbers, negotiated like a boss, and signed the papers. Yes, it was in my name. I didn't think that would matter. Ryan was thrilled at first, or he pretended to be. He stood beside me on the porch the day we got the keys and said, "Babe, this is beautiful. You did it." But then came the first crack. "You sure you don't want to put my name on the title?" he asked casually one night as we unpacked the kitchen. "You know, in case something happens." I paused, knife in hand. "Like what?" "I don't know, just in case. It's weird that it's only yours when we're married." I smiled, brushing it off. "It's not about being weird. I bought it with my money, Ryan. It's not a trust issue, it's just fairness. If we buy another one together, your name goes on it." He chuckled, but I saw the flicker of something in his eyes. Disappointment, ego, I couldn't tell. A week later, the demand came. Not a request, not a suggestion. A demand. "I think you should quit your job." I stared at him across the breakfast table, coffee halfway to my lips. "Excuse me. I've been thinking about it," he said, as if we were talking about switching brands of toothpaste. "You work all the time. You're stressed. I want us to try for a baby." I blinked. We never talked about trying for a baby now. "Well, I want to," he said. "And I think it's time you focused on the home. On us. I can provide." I just got that bonus. I sat back, heart pounding. "Ryan, I worked my whole life to get here. I love what I do. Why would you even suggest?" He leaned forward, gripping his mug. "Because I want a wife, not a CEO. I want someone who puts this marriage first." That was it. That sentence, like my ambition was a threat, like owning a home and having a career, made me less of a partner, less of a woman. I didn't respond right away. I needed time. So I nodded, played it cool, and said we'd talk later. But inside, something twisted. And that's when I decided I wasn't going to just let this go. I was going to teach him a lesson he'd never forget. I spent the next few days pretending to think about Ryan's demand. I smiled. I cooked dinner. I even booked a couple's massage. But underneath that surface, I was plotting. This wasn't just about quitting my job. This was about control. He wanted ownership of me, of my time, of the house. And once I gave him that, there would be no going back. I started paying attention to things I'd brushed off before. The way he insisted on knowing where I was going. How he laughed when I said I was leading a presentation at work, like it was a cute hobby. The credit card charges I didn't recognize. The locked drawer in his home office. Something was off, and I was done ignoring it. One morning, after he left for a meeting with investors, I decided to snoop. I know how that sounds. But trust me, I had every reason. I found the key to his office taped under his drawer. Inside, bank statements. Not ours. His. A separate account. Tens of thousands of dollars. Wire transfers. Payments to a woman named Sabrina Cole. I felt a chill. I snapped photos of everything. I dug deeper. Emails, passwords. I cracked into his laptop. My stomach twisted as I scrolled through conversations with Sabrina. Ryan, soon baby. Once Ava's out of the picture, I'll have access to the house. She won't fight me. She's too soft. Sabrina, I'm tired of waiting. You said this months ago. Get her to sign something. Then we can sell it. Ryan, I will. She's starting to crack. Just give me a few more weeks. I stared at the screen in shock. My fingers trembled, but my mind, crystal clear. He wasn't just trying to make me quit my job. He was trying to get me out of my own house. He was trying to steal it from me. That's when the plan came to life. I wasn't going to scream or confront him. No, Ryan didn't deserve a scene. He deserved destruction. I backed up the emails, screenshots, and financial records to a cloud folder titled Ava's Insurance. Then I reached out to my lawyer friend, Dana, smart, fierce, and twice as petty as I am. She looked over everything and raised her eyebrows. He's planning fraud, emotional manipulation, attempted coercion. Girl, we can hang him by his own words. I smiled. Not yet. Let's play the long game. About the baby plan. I even brought up a potential shared deed. Oh, Ryan said one night, surprised. You're thinking about it. I'm just trying to show I care, I said sweetly. Maybe we can talk to someone about putting your name on the title, you know? As a gesture. He was giddy. He didn't even try to hide it. But what he didn't know was that Dana had drafted a fake deed transfer agreement, one that looked real but legally did nothing. Just smoke and mirrors. I handed it to Ryan one Friday night over wine. Just sign this preliminary agreement so we can get the ball rolling. He didn't even read it. Signed like a fool. That night, while he slept like a man who thought he won, I emailed copies of everything to Dana. Next came the finances. I knew he was hiding assets, but I needed more. I offered to help manage the bills now that I was considering leaving work. Ryan was thrilled. He gave me access to some of his accounts. I rerouted the house expenses to my personal account. I moved utilities to my name. I set up digital paper trails showing I was covering everything. Meanwhile, I asked Dana to file a quiet legal notice that the house was fully owned by me, with protections against spousal claim in case of fraud or infidelity. The laws were on my side. I made sure of that. Then I bought a secret recorder, planted it in the kitchen, and oh, the things I captured. One day, I pretended to leave for a job interview. Ryan invited Sabrina over. She pranced in like she owned the place, wearing one of my scarves. I watched from the neighbor's house, camera in hand, recording every word from the open kitchen window. Sabrina, she's actually quitting her job. Ryan, she's getting there. Just a little more nudging. Once she's out, I'll push her to move out. Claim stress or something. Sabrina and the house. Ryan, half mine, baby. Once she cracks, we'll flip it and vanish. I smiled to myself. Game on. The day after Sabrina's visit, I sat across from Ryan at breakfast like nothing had happened. He drizzled syrup on his pancakes, whistling some tune he must have thought made him look innocent. I was thinking, I said sweetly, pouring his coffee, you should start planning that baby room. He looked up, surprised but delighted. Really? Really? I want you to feel included. Maybe clear out the guest room and start envisioning it. He nodded slowly, a smug look growing on his face. I like that. Of course. The room he chose was the one with all his hidden documents and tech gear. Perfect. Later that week, while he was working late, I entered the guest room and bagged every file, every device. I created a full digital backup of every sleazy receipt and text message. The spreadsheet alone could bury him. But that wasn't the fun part. The fun part was setting the stage. Ryan loved attention. He thrived on admiration, especially from my family and friends. So when I told him I was planning a small housewarming/anniversary party, he lit up like a Christmas tree. You're inviting everyone? Oh yes, I said, wrapping my arms around his neck. Everyone who matters. He didn't know that meant my parents, who always suspected something off about him. My childhood best friend who hated his guts. and a few colleagues of mine plus Dana, who would be there with legal documents folded neatly into her clutch. The night of the party arrived. I wore a red dress, not because it was flattering, but because it was war paint. Ryan played host like a champ. Charm oozed from his pores. Welcome, welcome. Ava's done an amazing job with the place, hasn't she? I smiled politely. Then came my toast. I stood near the fireplace, glass in hand. Everyone went silent. I just want to thank you all for coming, I began. This house means the world to me. It was a dream. Something I worked so hard for. Ryan reached for my hand. I let him take it, only for effect. But dreams sometimes come with nightmares, I continued, my eyes now locking onto his, especially when the person beside you turns out to be the one holding the knife. A murmur ran through the room. Ryan froze, his smile twitching. I've discovered a lot in the past month, I said, raising my phone. Lies, infidelity, financial fraud, manipulation. I clicked the screen. The TV behind me flickered to life. Footage, audio from the hidden recorder. Ryan and Sabrina, talking about flipping the house, about me. Gasps, wide eyes. Dana stepped forward, handing out printed evidence like party favors. Ryan lunged forward, trying to grab the remote. Eva, turn it off. We can talk. I stepped back. We're done talking, Ryan. The party ended in chaos. Ryan stormed out before the cops arrived because yes, I filed a report that night. Fraud. Attempted coercion. I wasn't playing games anymore. The next day, I froze our joint accounts. Filed for legal separation. Had the locks changed? Dana ensured a legal notice was served that barred Ryan from claiming anything related to the house, thanks to the fake document he signed and the real trail of payments and conversations he didn't have a leg to stand on. Sabrina, her employer, received an anonymous package of the footage and emails. She lost her job within the week, but I wasn't done yet. Oh no. Ryan had one thing left, his reputation, so I destroyed it. I posted a carefully worded story online, not naming names, but making sure all the key details were there. The story of a husband who tried to rob his wife of her home, her career, and her dignity. The post went viral. People connected the dots. Ryan's professional network collapsed. Clients backed out. His company let him go. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that he was sleeping on his cousin's couch. Me, I was sipping champagne in my backyard, freshly landscaped, peaceful and mine. It had been 3 months since the storm passed. The silence in the house was no longer empty, it was peaceful. I had restructured my life. Promoted at work. Spent weekends repainting the walls Ryan once claimed were too bold for guests. I even turned the guest room into an office, mine office. No more hidden drawers, no more secrets. But then, he came back. One Friday evening, just after sunset, there was a knock on the door. I opened it without thinking, and there he was. Ryan, hair messier, skin dull. His once perfectly tailored clothes now hung loose, cheap. His eyes flickered with desperation, masked by that same cocky tilt of his chin. Even, I should call the police. Wait, he said, raising his hands. I'm not here to fight. I wanted to talk. One last time. I crossed my arms. You had your last time. 3 months ago. With Sabrina? He flinched. We're not. I'm not with her anymore. She used me. You were right. I lost everything. That sounds like a you problem. He sighed. Look, I messed up bad. I was greedy. But you have to understand, I didn't think you'd ever really leave me. I thought you needed me. I laughed, a bitter, surprised sound. I never needed you. I wanted you. There's a difference. His eyes darted to the hallway behind me. This house, this life, it was supposed to be ours, Eva. It was never yours, I said calmly. You tried to steal it from me. He stepped closer. Please. I'm not asking for money. Just help me get back on my feet. A recommendation. A place to stage just for a week. I've got job interviews, I swear. I stared at him, jaw clenched. Then I opened the door wider. Fine, I said. Come in. His face lit up. Really? I nodded, letting him walk in. Make yourself comfortable. He sat down on the couch, smiling like a fool. I picked up my phone and dialed. Who are you calling? Just someone who loves catching up with you, I replied. Seconds later, there was another knock. Ryan turned pale. I opened the door. Detective Hughes entered calm, tall, firm. He nodded to me, then turned to Ryan. Mr. Maxwell, you're aware you violated the no-contact order. Ryan stood, panicked. Wait, what? She let me in. Doesn't matter, Hughes replied. The restraining order is still active. You're under arrest. As they cuffed him, Ryan shouted, You planned this. You set me up. I smiled softly. No, Ryan, you set yourself up. I just finally stopped saving you from yourself. They took him away. I closed the door, leaned back against it, and exhaled. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. Weeks passed. No more knocks. No more lies. I took a solo vacation to Portugal. Read novels on the beach. Swam in the cold ocean. Let the salt strip away every memory of him. When I returned, I started writing again. I began journaling my experience, pouring it all into a blog that slowly grew an audience. Women reached out with their own stories. Stories of betrayal, of survival, of revenge. I wasn't just healing, I was helping others heal, too. One afternoon, while sipping tea on the porch, a car pulled up. Out stepped a woman I didn't recognize. She approached cautiously. Are you Eva Maxwell? I go by Eva James again now. Who's asking? She smiled nervously. I'm Claire. I used to date Ryan. Before you, my stomach tightened. He mentioned you once? I said carefully. I read your blog, she said. I recognized the patterns. The gas, the control. It was all the same. She reached into her purse and handed me a small manila envelope. This is from 3 years ago. Before he met you. I think it'll help you close the book. I opened it after she left. Inside were letters, photos, recordings. Ryan had been doing this for years. Not just to me, to others. And suddenly, I realized I wasn't just a survivor. I was the one who finally ended his cycle. The envelope from Claire sat on my desk for days. I'd read every letter, every screenshot, every tear-stained journal entry she had copied for me. Each page revealed how Ryan perfected his manipulation, how he learned what worked, what hurt, and how to use affection as a weapon. Claire's words echoed. I think you were the one he couldn't break. That's why he hated you the most. Maybe she was right. Maybe that's why, when I fought back, he unraveled. I decided to do something with her envelope. Not hide it, not burn it, but publish it. I wrote a new blog post, longer, deeper, raw. I didn't just tell my story this time. I told our story, mine, Claire's, Sabrina's, in a way. All the women he left, bruised emotionally, psychologically, even financially. I titled it, The House He Couldn't Steal. Within hours of publishing, it exploded. Thousands of shares, hundreds of messages. Women thanking me. Some telling me they were about to walk away from someone just like him. Others had already survived their own Ryans. Then came an email I never expected. A producer, a real one. From a network that made docu-series about real-life female empowerment stories. Your story is something women need to hear. We'd like to adapt your blog into a limited series. I sat back, stunned. From tears to television. From betrayal to broadcast. I received a letter from Ryan's public defender 2 weeks later. He'd read the blog post and wanted the defamation removed. Said it ruined his chances of finding work after getting out. I didn't reply. Instead, I posted a quote on my blog. People who destroy others never want their own truth to be public. Silence is their last weapon. But I will never be silent again. The letter was the last I heard from him. A year passed. The show aired and became a hit. I was invited to podcasts, panels, and workshops. My home, the house I bought with my own hands, was now a sanctuary, not just for me, but for survivors who followed my journey. One spring morning, while replanting the roses Ryan once ripped out, claiming they made the yard too feminine, a man walked up to the edge of the fence. He had kind eyes, a gentle presence, a contractor working on the neighbor's property. Morning, he said. You're Eva, right? I nodded, wiping my hands on my jeans. My sister follows your blog. She said if I ever met you, I should say thank you. I blinked, caught off guard. For what? For telling the truth? For fighting back? We talked for a while, then longer, then regularly. His name was Daniel. A man who didn't try to compete with my independence or shrink my voice. He just listened, learned, encouraged. I never forgave Ryan. People told me I should, that I'd never be free without it. But that's a myth we tell survivors so their abusers can sleep at night. I didn't forgive, but I moved on. I grew, I thrived. In one crisp autumn morning, as I stood on my porch sipping coffee, I looked out across the yard, sunlight beaming off the freshly painted walls of the house. My house. The house that Ryan tried to steal, manipulate, and control. The house that I saved. The house that saved me. Ryan will go down in his own memory as a man who could outsmart anyone. But not me. He'll remember how he underestimated me. How he laughed when I cried, and smiled when I stumbled. And most of all, he'll remember the day the world stopped believing his lies. He'll remember the woman who taught him that you don't mess with someone who's already survived the fire. Because she rise again strong, and she'll make sure the whole damn world watches. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel. See you next time.